because it was just announced that Kim Jones has now officially exited Dior. I mean, this is something that I guess was inevitable because people keep talking about different designers that are going to replace different designers at Dior and so forth. So, of course, there's been so much speculation, and within that speculation, people did say that it's likely that Kim Jones would be leaving Dior. So, courtesy of BOF, they reported that, of course, Kim Jones exits Dior. Jones is leaving his position as artistic director of the LVMH-owned menswear line after 7 years. Neither his successor nor his next moves were announced. I mean, the day that this all happened with Bottega Veneta, when Matteo Blasi left Bottega, and then hours later, it was announced that he was at Chanel, and then obviously Louis Trotter was announced that going to Bottega. So this might happen, or they might, wait a bit longer to announce the news. But anyway, let's read further. Also, I can't believe that one, Kim Jones was at Dior for 7 years, because it doesn't feel like 7 years. It feels a lot shorter. I literally feel like it was yesterday when he had his last menswear collection at Louis Vuitton, and he had, was it Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell on one arm? And Naomi Campbell was wearing those Louis Vuitton like boots. That feels like yesterday, and then all of a sudden there's the Cause Dior collection with his debut. Like, am I that old? 7 years felt like it just went in a flash. That's what's concerning me, actually. But let's read on. Kim Jones is stepping down as artistic director of Dior after 7 years designing the hit menswear line. Jones left LVMH stablemate Louis Vuitton for Dior in 2018. There, he strengthened the link between the brand's menswear and the founding aesthetic of the house, leaning into a regal fashion fantasy with deftly draped tailoring, at times with cinched waists in a nod to the house's signature bar suit. The revamped formal wear was blended with savvy merchandising and rapid-fire collaborations with a diverse cast of artists and brands, from Peter Doig to Nike, which helped tap demand from tribal streetwear-informed fashion customers at a time of rapid casualization in the luxury industry. Sales of men's products grew roughly fivefold to over 1.2 billion euros in the first 5 years of his tenure at the brand. It was a true honor to be able to create my collections within the House of Dior, a symbol of absolute excellence, Jones said in a statement. I'm extremely grateful for the remarkable work done by Kim Jones, his studio, and the ateliers. With all his talent and creativity, he has constantly reinterpreted the house's heritage with genuine freedom of tone and surprising, highly desirable artistic collaborations, said Dior CEO Delphine Arnault. The English designer's next moves are unknown. Jones's exit comes as market sources say LVMH is preparing to transfer Loewe designer Jonathan Anderson to Dior, betting on a creative shakeup to reverse slowing sales. Tuesday, LVMH reported fourth quarter sales up 1%, with fashion and leather goods sales falling 1% on an organic basis. So that is really the story. But like I said earlier, it does not feel like 7 years to me. It really doesn't. The next man is saying it felt like a long 7 years. Not to me, to be very honest with you. It doesn't feel that way. It just doesn't feel like that. Like, literally, let me see if I can find that runaway video. Yeah, it was this show. It genuinely feels like, yes, like I genuinely remember watching the show. Like, I can remember what I was doing when I was watching the show. I remember where I was. This feels like yesterday. Like, how time flies. Well, it was very fast because of Fendi. I guess because Kim was doing a lot of things at once, right? Like, obviously, Fendi and Dior at the same time at one point. People are saying that this means that Eddie Saman is going back to Dior. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, there's a very tiny possibility, but everyone is saying that Jonathan Anderson is going to Dior. And the person that has, stepped down is Kim Jones. So you just have to 1 + 1 = 2 type thing. Yeah, I'm just waiting for that moment. Yeah, exactly. This is the moment I was talking about where he walked out with Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss. This genuinely feels like it happened not that long ago. And it's funny because a lot of the reasons why, funny thing actually, a lot of the reasons why at first it took me a while to warm up into Kim Jones's Dior. I eventually did end up liking it over time. But why I didn't like it early, I do think Kim Jones definitely is one of the few fashion designers that, understands streetwear. But I think sometimes he did lean into it a bit too much. I do think he had probably one of the biggest collaborations of the 2000s, like 2010s, let's say. The collaboration between Supreme and Louis Vuitton. It's when he was, at LV that happened. So, and I felt like at Dior, when he first went to Dior, it was too collaborative. I mean, he had this collection, obviously, the debut, massive course installation. I mean, some of the garments were actually really interesting because the color palette obviously was an ode to Monsieur Dior himself. You had these pieces that did really well commercially, the oblique sneakers that people called them, the saddle bags, but in different like iterations, part of the belt. They obviously tapped Matthew Williams to make the hardware, and that was when the leaks was all the rage, the roller coaster belt buckles. They tapped into that. They had Stephen Jones designing some of the hats, which was really cool because Stephen Jones talks about, how he had to, it was really difficult to balance the weight coming from how heavy the buckle was. So he had to do a lot of manipulation with the hats to make sure that it could sit on your head properly, which was interesting to see him talk about in the interview. So that was interesting. They tapped Yoon on to do the accessories. And the funny thing is, it almost felt like at the time that Dior was sort of, let me not say training spots because these were all accomplished designers, but there was the stopping place before all these designers went to do their big things. So I remember the conversation we were having around that time was that Matthew Williams, working under Kim Jones at Dior, was kind of training for him to go to Givenchy, and then he eventually ended up there. Yoon Ahn, of course, has gone from strength to strength with Ambush, but also with Nike collaborations and stuff like that. So it definitely seemed that they were kind of like it's like a training ground for designers. It's kind of crazy, but it just seemed too collaborative, and I wanted to see what Kim Jones's ideas were. Like, what is your signature? What is your aesthetic? And I don't think we truly got that until a few seasons later, and that was something that I used to struggle with in terms of Kim Jones's Dior. To be honest, I think this improved. This is why I said I warmed into Kim Jones's Dior. Definitely, I think. Early, I always used to say it like this is because when Kim Jones has a collaboration, it's never like a lot of brands they do collaborations where it's just like a few pieces in a collection. When Kim Jones does a collab, it takes over the whole collection and it always just feels like he didn't design it. Obviously he did, but that's how it feels looking at the collections where there's too much imprint from the collaborator and it doesn't seem like there's a back and forth between you guys. Yeah, Kim Jones's last collection, I really enjoyed it. I'm still going to review that later, but I really did enjoy that. The color palette. I will say though, looking back at this collection, everything sold. When I think about this collection, those translucent shirts sold like crazy. The saddlebags sold like crazy. The other saddle accessories sold like crazy. The footwear, oblique sneakers sold like crazy. This collection did sensationally well. Commercially. I'm like, yeah, people used to wear that stuff. Like, wow. Kim was rightfully so, giving people opportunities with the collaborations at Dior. I think my only critique was he reached the peak and collections didn't really change, but they were wearable and good. Yeah, I understand giving people an opportunity, but also like just as a fan of Kim Jones's and as a fan of fashion, I just wanted to see what his ideas were. That's what I wanted to know. Because then you have like collections like this, right? This was the collection Dior Men Fall 2020, which was when he did the collaboration with Stussy. But once again, it just felt like a Stussy collection. Like it genuinely, if you told me that this was a Stussy collection, I would have believed you until I saw like the Dior prints. I genuinely would have believed you until I saw like Dior everywhere and like the Dior prints. So that was really my issue. And it almost felt like he didn't have any signatures, really. It was very much, there was a certain tailoring that he used to do, like shape of tailoring. But outside of that, it was very random, extremely random. Dior 2020, summer, he had amazing pieces, dégradé pleats. But the thing is, Kim Jones was expensive, a lot of pieces, demi couture. Oh yeah, I remember specifically the Daniel Arsham show. The stuff in that collection was super expensive. I remember some of the shirts were going for like 8K, and that was back then. The stuff was super, super expensive for sure. But the thing about techniques, though, is that if you're a designer and you have the whole ass Dior atelier to your disposal, I would like to believe that you're going to use interesting techniques. So I don't know if that means, if it's like, oh my God, like, but they use this technique, if that's like a point of, this designer is sensational because look at the techniques, because you have a whole atelier to your disposal, you know what I mean? Anything with Daniel Arsham's name is tax beyond comprehension. So yeah, they had this Stussy collab, which was cool. It did really well. But it's just another one of those examples where I didn't feel like I was getting the true signatures of Kim Jones himself. And I think for me, when I really started to warm into Kim Jones was the fall winter 2020 collection. I loved that collection. But let's look at spring summer 2020 first, because that was, I think, the Daniel Arsham collection. That was a big one. I remember they did in Selfridges around that time when that collection dropped. They did an installation in Selfridges in London where they had like all these degrading cars and stuff. That was really cool. The marketing for those shows was really, really good. That I must say. Did you find that he played it too safe? Maybe earlier on. I don't think later on he did though. I guess you can say he played it a bit safe earlier on, but I also think we have to commend Kim Jones because, like I said, looking back at some of these collections, because I haven't actually looked back at these collections for a while, they sold. They really sold. Like, I'm looking on a runway and I'm like, people wore this. I saw people wearing this a lot. And that rarely happens for a lot of brands. That's probably why he was able to make Dior so much money, especially in the first few years he was there. Have the Daniel Arsham installation. I remember around the time that this happened, I think that thing in the middle was like some sand material and they had to like do rehearsal because it's actually very difficult for the models to walk in that. That was interesting to learn about around the time when the show happened. Jeez, I'm old. Are the models gonna come out? Are we gonna see like, okay, there we go. Things models have to do, eh? But this was kind of like, when we talk about the Kim Jones Dior tailoring, this is the shape. This is the silhouette that he was going for majority of the time. Spring 2022, 2024, some of my favorite, but streets know the terror that pre-fall 2019 was. I remember the pre-fall 2019 collection because that was when... Do you know what's funny? Do you know what's interesting about the pre-fall 2019 collection for Dior? Wasn't that around the time that Misbehave was really big? Like, Misbehave had a buzz. So you know that mesh top that Misbehave used to make? I feel like Dior made basically the higher end hype beast version of the Misbehave tight top. So all the people that had more money and was like, oh, you guys are wearing that Misbehave stuff, I'm wearing the Dior. That was what they would buy. For people that don't know, let me show you guys a picture just so you guys can have a reference, right? So this is the Dior pre-fall 2019 collection. So this is the piece we're talking about. This piece here was on all the street style pages. Like, so many people had that. And it reminded me of let me see if I can find it. Misbehave. What is it like? Mesh top? Or what was it really called? It's not really a mesh top. It was more like this thing here. Misbehave used to make stuff like this. And it almost felt like Dior was making their version of like this. But people used to wear the long sleeve version. I'm trying to see which one, if I can find the long sleeve version. That is what people, like stuff like this. Everyone used to wear this in like streetwear at the time. And once again, because Kim Jones truly understands streetwear and he's tapped into that, I can imagine like he would have seen that and been like, let's make our version. But yeah, it made for some insane street style pictures around the time. Micah said, I have things to say. Hey, Micah, hop in then. Do you want me to send you a link? I'll put a link in the chat and you can share what you have to say. But that was a time that I do miss the fit pick era. I'm not going to lie, I do miss that. I do miss that. Now everything is about reels. Everything has to be in video form. Those were the trunks. I remember that was when Dior was, had those really expensive Rimowa collabs that everyone went crazy for. You can still see the roller coaster buckles. Matthew Williams was still working with Dior. He wasn't at Givenchy quite yet. It's so interesting looking back at this stuff. It genuinely feels like all this stuff happened yesterday. And the boots too, the translucent boots, that sold really well. Obviously, that print piece is obviously a Galliano callback. Those are Galliano references, Galliano Dior references. Yeah, this was the precursor to the bike it era. This was more so like Tron Future stuff. That's very, very true. Hello, Micah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm in bed, so it's a no camera thing.
No worries, no worries. You said you have a lot to say. Say
Um,
your
no,
opinion.
it was just when I literally because I just was watching Severance in it, just finished it, booted up YouTube, saw you were live, even though you were live like 5 hours ago, but okay. And then you were like, oh yeah, Kim Jones has like put his twist on different pieces that were popping at the time. And I don't know if you already touched on it, but the first thing that popped into my head as well, I think from the same collection, is do you remember that mesh, like see-through kind of mesh? with the Dior logo all over, short
Oh
sleeve
yeah.
thing.
So I talked about that. That was in his debut collection. So I
Or is
can
this the collection right after?
no. This is a few collections after. This Daniel Asham collection was a few collections after.
Well, and it's the Daniel Arsham collection that had the misbehave top. I thought those
No,
the
no,
mesh
no.
thing and the misbehave thing was in the same collection.
The Misbehave top was the collection after Kim Jones's debut.
Okay, word,
Yeah,
word.
so that was pre-fall 2019. His debut was spring summer 2019.
The
But I'll
time.
show you. This is. But I was saying earlier because I did
Yeah,
walk
that
through
top
this
right there,
collection
look
quickly.
seven.
Yeah. I was saying that all this stuff sold.
Babs.
Like everything sold. The belt sold. The top sold. Remember these oblique
Bro,
sneakers?
these went triple platinum, bro.
Yeah, those sold.
People,
Like everything
I'll tell you
sold.
the tier list. I'll tell you the tier list. So if you were a pauper, if you're an absolute pauper like Io and I, you'd have, your Nike Converses, your standard things, your Nike Cons. Then if you are a level above that, you have the off-white things, you'd have the off-white blazers. You get me? Then when you are a real money man, when money was no problem, that's when you get the Dior obliques. When you're a real spender, triple D's on your feet.
Relative to everything else at the time, I remember those Dior obliques being so expensive, bro.
Because they were a rack. And back then, shoes
They
were like
were
150,
£1,000 when like luxury fashion wasn't bugging back then, so
No,
shoes
if
weren't
anyone had
supposed
them,
to.
they were a baller. The 10 weren't even going for as much as a rack back then.
Yeah, they weren't. They eventually did, of course, but they weren't. So yeah, these are Mike. I'll just show you some of the collections just to remind you, just to like run you through quickly. So this is his
Debut.
debut, Spring Summer 19. Pre-4s like had
They
the more
were,
futuristic vibe. The fall 2019 was when they were on that escalator that was moving, remember?
yeah.
Then Spring Summer 20 was like the Daniel Arsham
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, that's a good collection too.
Resort 20 was some more collabs. Same as Spring Summer 21. I think he collabed with the Ghanaian artist. Pre-Fall 2020 was Stussy collab.
Yeah, yeah,
Fall
yeah.
2020 is actually one of my favorite collections. That was like more like opera inspired, like where they had the gloves and the coats and like
Mm-mm.
the blazers, and I like the textures that they were using, like this sort of stuff. I really liked
Yeah,
it.
I
This is when I
remember.
was like, oh, Kim Jones is crazy. He's going crazy. This is when I really started to love what he was doing, to be fair.
Mm.
Like this sort of stuff.
Yeah, literally, I remember this, man. I
Yeah,
remember
this
this.
stuff was. I loved this stuff.
In fact, I was in Paris when this collection was shown. Yeah, I was in Paris when this collection was shown.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like old because I was reading the statement, and Kim Jones was at Dior for 7 years. And I'm like, did 7 years go by that quickly?
Yeah,
I literally remember his debut collection like it was yesterday.
jarring to be fair. Because his debut collection was when everyone was debuting.
Yeah.
Like,
And
yeah,
it was so anticipated. Like, it was so anticipated. Like, I remember me and a bunch of friends, we sat down and watched the show. Like, we were like looking forward to it. Especially because, think about it, and this is something I mentioned earlier. I don't know when you hopped in, Micah. You need to remember contextually, Kim Jones, when he joined Dior, was just coming off the Supreme LV collab.
yeah, bro. As in, like, he was scorching hot.
He broke
And,
the internet with
and
that
then, no,
collaboration.
not only that, man hopped into Dior and said, nah, I'm keeping this collaborative thing. Let's get Yunnan to do all of our jewelry.
Stephen
Let's get
Jones with the
Let's get
hats.
Stephen Jones to do all of our millinery. Let's get Matthew Williams to do all of our hardware, which obviously went triple platinum with the belts, the buckle on the bags.
And he
Like,
had them for like a good at least 6 seasons.
bro, it's not like he was scorching hot with that debut. And one of the things I remember the most is Heady One was there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that because that was actually probably one of the first runway shows he ever went to. Because I remember
Yeah, I think it was. And he was
people
Irish, right?
talking about it. Yeah, I remember people talking about that. I do actually remember that. But yeah, from there, that's when I warmed into his Dior. I do remember something that I was like, oh yeah, that happened. Do you remember this? Let me see if you remember this collection. Do you remember this one?
Boot up a couple
Spring
more.
23. Let me boot up the runaway
I don't
video.
think I remember it.
Bro, this is the collaboration they did with ERL.
I have no memory of this.
You don't remember
I
the
have
ERL show?
I have no memory of this. What the hell?
What?
No, but there was a point where I was going to go on to say that. There was a point where I mentally tapped out of Kim Jones Dior specifically. Because there was a point where I realized it's really not for me. But
Right.
men seem to love it because it was very successful. And I was like, that's how I know he's a good designer, because it's really not resonating with me. But there's like people who are literally like fully immersed in the Kim Jones Dior world.
Yeah, he
Man was, you know what?
attracted like
Man
a
was collabing
whole.
left, right, and center because he had that Travis Scott collab, he had a Denim Tears collab.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man was collabing left, right, and center. What
But
the
yeah,
hell?
I almost forgot about this ERL thing because it was like I think it was in LA. I think it was even in like Venice Beach or something like that.
Oh, was it?
It was like a resort collection,
Yeah, that
2023.
probably is why I missed it as well, mate.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was in
yeah,
Venice Beach. I just checked. It was in Venice Beach. It was really random. And like, this is when ERL was buzzing. Because remember, like, ASAP Rocky wore ERL to the Met
yeah,
Games. So ERL was just bugging. And then because he was tapped, people were saying that, oh, he was going to like start designing Dior collections. And it never happened. It was just a one
mm,
collection. But this is interesting. To be fair, there were some interesting techniques used here, like how they made the sneakers and some of the other pieces. There was a really good video. I think it was Loic Pigeon that posted where they talked about the whole process. It was actually really interesting. But the clothes definitely weren't for me though.
yeah, bro. Look,
They weren't
after
for
I
me.
think like full 22, I want to say, I was like, okay, I'm cool off Dior. I'm glad people like it. It's not for me. And then I didn't tap back in properly until what was it the 50th anniversary what was that fat collection he did a couple of years ago that went crazy? So where
Which one?
all
All
the
of them are
men,
big.
people came up in like, I don't want to call them elevators, but like people got lifted through the floor.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
And I was like, okay, I'm still doing this thing.
No, I think he had bangers. There was the collection that was in that like garden. That's also something because I always think of like different products that really stood out with
Mm.
each season. I remember that collection that he did in the garden, the footwear was crazy because I think he made like the Birkenstocks, the like Dior version of Birkenstocks, or I don't even know, was it a collab? But those shoes went crazy.
Yeah, I remember them. I
And
remember
this
them.
is
They're
what I
actually
mean
hard.
about
They're hard, though.
he
They're
taps
hard.
into whatever's trending at the time. He capitalizes on it, and it's why
But
Dior made so
I
much
think that's
money.
why everyone did their own Birkenstocks then as well, though, because you remember the Balenciaga ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I remember, yeah, when he had those Birkenstocks, like people were going crazy for those. But yeah, this ERL show, I was like, damn, this really happened. Completely forgot. Oh yeah, the Egypt collection. This is what I mean. Like that. So he did so many collections when you think about it, and time just like flew.
No, Max, it's not. It's not copying because I'd say it's not copying
Yeah,
because
because he
man
tapped
literally
the
got the
designer
designer
to
in.
yeah.
Matthew Williams came and did it himself.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
different tapping the designer to do what they already do. That's definitely not copying. If anything, that's exactly what every brand should do. Instead of taking someone's idea, that's what we critique brands of doing all the time, where they steal designers' work and make millions off it. But instead, you're going to bring on the designer to do it
and
for the
actually, to be honest,
brand.
I feel like the way they translated it to Dior was pretty tasteful, in my opinion.
Yeah, like with the buckles on the saddles, and people bought those saddlebags. Like people really bought those saddlebags.
Damn, bro.
With the elevator ones when I started to get Kim Jones's design. Bro, I even that Egypt collection. I remember the craze about that. You saw influencers going to Africa for the first time.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. That was crazy. People are talking crazy online on Twitter, bro.
Oh my word. But what I know you said obviously that Dior necessarily didn't speak to you for most of it, but were there any collections that stood out to you during his tenure? Were there any
Let me
specific
pull up Vogue
products?
Runway. Let me pull up Vogue Runway real quick.
Let me
List them off. Obviously, debut, the debut and the four collections after that, including
yeah.
the resorts and the pre-springs, I was feeling. Then let me quickly get Vogue Runway up and I'll take a look. It's been a minute since I've even overviewed this guy's.
But look at how many collections he did.
Oh, he's done
Loads.
bears. Oh, he's done bears.
Loads.
Yeah, so I liked, for me, spring 2019, I was feeling that. Pre-fall 2019, spring 2020, resorts 2021, spring 2022. And then I think that's the last one I was like, the spring 22 was the last one I cared about for a
Yeah.
while. And then maybe the last 3, 4 collections, I've been like, oh, okay, cool, he's cooking.
I do think though that because there's many reasons why luxury brand sales would slow down, but you can clearly see that earlier on in Kim Jones's tenure, everyone was wearing his clothes. And more recently, less and less people are like wearing his stuff. He hasn't really been able to capture the zeitgeist the way that he captured the zeitgeist that, the start, like the first couple of years. Everyone, like, it was just straight from Runaway to NCL Gallery. Like directly, just straight from the runway to fit people's Fitbit. I'm like, how do you even get it? It's barely been out.
Right? And even like the type of celebrities that really resonated with Dior were the type of celebrities that people are quite aspirational towards. So, like your Travis Scotts, like your Kardashians.
You had Pop Smoke that had a hit song, and that was like
Yeah,
Kim Jones era.
yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like the zeitgeist, there was a point in time he just really had the zeitgeist, and then after a while, it just kind of went a bit silent. But what I can always give him credit for is he makes desirable products for sure.
Yeah, no, he understands the consumer really, really well.
He really does. Dammy says, "What's good?" Dammy, if you're free, hop into the live. Because I know Dammy likes Kim.
Teachy,
So I want to know what he has to say.
teachy.
I want to know what Dammy has to say. I'm very curious. I think there's somewhat of an upper ceiling to what he did at Dior. He carved a segment in what was becoming a saturated market for menswear, and then eventually those customers were satisfied. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. Yeah, but I wonder what he's going to do moving forward. I mean, he left Fendi, left Dior. He still seems like he has a lot. I mean, that last collection for Dior was really good, so he still has some stuff in the
Yeah, no,
locker.
that's what I'm saying. These last like 3 or 4 he's been doing have been a lot
I'd
stronger
like to
than
see
the
him go
middle.
because he's still got some really good ideas in the locker. But it's just a question of where. Like, where would Kim's aesthetic go to? Like, LV and Dior make sense because they're like the mainstream brands. The menswear is not too historic, so you could kind of be more experimental with it. It was that way at LV, it's that way at Dior. Let's see, Eric said, I love his men's spring summer 24 and fall winter 24 for Dior men's, and his spring summer 24 and fall winter 24 for Fendi women's, then hated his farewell collections for both. Really? I liked the Dior farewell collection. Let me put that on the screen. I did like that. I enjoyed that, to be honest. Because he was really referencing a lot of couture techniques from obviously the House of Dior, from Monsieur Dior, and also it was kind of menswear couture in a way, using like the H-line silhouette, applying that to tailoring, applying that to blazers, applying that to overcoats. That was really cool. Adding like a feminine touch to things that are held historically as a menswear staple. So he would take like very classic menswear shoes and tie a silk ribbon on the front of it, stuff like that. Like I thought that was I really enjoyed it how he was playing with the techniques. To be honest, I really liked his farewell collection. Hate it or love it, but I love to see him with Beluti. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. He could work at Beluti for sure. I mean, Beluti needs a buzz. It hasn't really. I don't know what it is about Beluti. It doesn't seem like anyone has really been able to really give the brand a push. I mean, Hyder Ackerman was, Chris Van Ash was. I don't think any of them were able to, and these are really, really good designers and well-known designers. I don't think any of them were able to make a product at Beluti that really, even though their collections were really nice, I don't think there was a product that I think about in any of their times at Beluti. So I just don't know. Is Beluti one of those brands where that's even possible? Right, he got to do what Raf did and find a house that he can share the workload with someone. Where, I don't know though. Where would that even work? I need to think about that for a second. Who could he share stuff with? I would say Maria Gacciaturi because she's done that before at Valentino, but he's just left Dior. That's not going to happen. Max says he will likely stay within the LVMH ecosystem, maybe a Celine to cement the brand's appeal for streetwear while keeping a delicate side. What, delicate? You mean delicate size? Straight swap to Loewe, unlikely in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think he's going to Loewe. Actually, he's not going to Loewe. Someone saying Maria should go to Fendi. I don't know. I mean, Kim Jones at Celine, based on we're coming off an Eddie Simon and a Phoebe Philo era. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hermes wants to do Couture, and Kim Jones has one of the best portfolios out there. Out of all the designers available, his designs seem to fit their design codes the most. Do they? I feel like this is very, like when I think of designers that design it as like Christophe Lemaire, it's very clean cut luxe. I don't know if Kim Jones necessarily does clean cut luxe all the way. He's shown that he's capable of doing it for
He likes
sure.
adding a bit of flair. He likes adding
Yeah, but he's more like of a flair player. He doesn't do the Lemaire thing, I don't think. Hi, Dami. How you doing?
itchy.
Morning, everyone. Or afternoon, actually. Now it's I'm
Yeah,
chilling.
just past 12.
How's everybody?
We're doing good.
Right, yeah.
What's
No,
your thoughts on the Kim Jones news? I know you very much enjoy Kim Jones's work.
yeah.
So what are your general thoughts? What are your favorite collections from him during his time at Dior?
In my opinion, Kim Jones had like a generational run
He
at
definitely
Dior.
did.
So I would actually have to pull because I could literally start naming from 2020. Or no, I mean like pre for 2020, like
Right.
20. So, but yeah, I had some very like I loved like the Toriyama collections. I liked when it was Alix, or should I say Matthew Williams and Yoon Ahn working at Dior. I think Yoon
How
Ahn
long
still
was
does
that actually for?
accessories.
How long was that actually for?
I
Do you
can
know?
actually
Matthew
track it because once
Matthew
people stop,
stopped.
you
Yeah,
can
But don't they
literally
still?
see.
Do they not
but
steal the
Yoon
buckle?
Ahn
Bugging.
still does. I think
Once
she's
Matthew
still
Williams
part
went
of
to Givenchy, the whole thing that was it.
Yeah,
Didn't he
that
go to
was
Givenchy like 2 years later though? It wasn't long after.
Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't long after, which is why it didn't last that long.
But they were still selling the buckle because it's like a staple of their hardware.
Yeah, I think on the runway, it might have been like the Daniel Larson show might have been the last one, to be honest.
It
Because
was
after it
still
was
on
a
the runway.
resort collection, then it was this collection, then it was like the opera collection, which didn't have any of that. So I think the Daniel Larson thing was the last one. And then he went to Givenchy shortly after. Someone is saying, let me see what Burrs is saying about Mez. Kim Jones can do a Mez menswear. It's so unbearably boring anyways. I mean, you have a point there. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Kim Jones, I don't see Kim Jones going to Hermes at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to like Dior is literally the premier brand for LVMH. He's not gonna get paid parity for doing a smaller job at LVMH. But at the same time, it's like Mez is in quotes a family business. It's a little bit different to go to there and command certain
I mean,
things.
it's a family business, but it's a multi-billion family business.
No, for sure. But I guess the main thing I'm saying is like you're still going into the family business. You know what I'm saying? You're not actually like they might think of LVMH or something little that he did at Dior. I don't know whether he's just walking in and commanding anyone any salary just
Yeah.
at any other place outside of, let's say, Corinne or OTB. But then, like, why would he go to them places when LVMH is the biggest and the best?
But I mean, because he's been LVMH for so long, like Louis
Yes,
Vuitton,
that's what I'm
Fendi,
saying.
Dior. I just don't think I don't
over a
see him.
decade.
Yeah, I don't see him doing anything with any LVMH. But I don't know. I just would think he
Yeah.
would be tired. He just wants something different, like a
That's
change of scenery.
That's what I would think as well, honestly. I genuinely think that. I think that, or like, I think the most likely thing in my brain, like, is he takes a break and then he gets an eponymous label. Like, that's,
I mean,
Hasn't
he
had
did
one
have an
before?
eponymous label
He's had one
before.
yeah,
Yeah, he had
but
his
like the
label.
LVMH, like Phoebe Philo does. But
Right. So bring it back.
yeah, with a LVMH minority stake.
I don't know if it would bang though the same way. I don't think his name commands such a cultish audience the same way Phoebe Philo's did.
Phoebe does not have a cult audience. I don't know what, like, we need to stop this charade. But I
I
don't want
think
to.
that
I
the
don't want to
people
do
who buy from Phoebe Philo continue to buy from
what.
Phoebe
Which
Philo.
buyers?
Not really.
Buyers.
Okay, Mike, I don't agree with that. To be
Yeah.
fair.
So what
This
you
is
think?
why I said I don't
You feel like she's expanding audiences?
I think that Phoebe Philo's audience is segmented across the industry. So I think that when she was at Celine, yes. But since then, so many people have become customers of so many different brands, whether that's Peter Doe or Le Mer or Rock or Bottega Veneta or, The Row. And it's almost like now she's back, people are like, yeah.
Okay, let me.
You know what I
rephrase it.
mean?
Do you think Phoebe Philo is capturing new audiences? I don't think she is.
No, I don't think she is, no.
I don't think. I think that the people who are buying Phoebe Philo right now were the same people who were investing in Phoebe Philo's work 10 years ago.
Yes, but it's even less.
Okay, but my point is that I don't think there's an audience of people who are actively looking for Kim Jones's work specifically for Kim Jones.
You think?
I think why people love Kim Jones, obviously Kim Jones makes really good products, but I think it's to do with Kim Jones and a mixture of the brands that he designs.
Exactly.
Obviously Dior is like a big brand.
So I'm saying if he had an eponymous label, I don't think there's people who are like, oh, I need Kim Jones's eponymous label because it's just Kim Jones. I think those people are more interested in, oh, Kim Jones is doing this Dior thing and I like Dior, so I'm going to tap into Dior.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
Kim
it's
Jones is doing this
very
LV thing, and I like LV, so I'm tapping it.
it's very few people that don't have an eponymous label open now that if they did, they have a cult audience. Maybe like Eddie Slimane. I'm trying to think of who else would.
Demna could probably pull it off.
Oh yeah, Demna could. Demna has a cult
Let's just
following.
think about this idea, for instance. It's like, because I was just kind of like thrown off the top of my head.
Also, about her collection selling out, they don't produce in big quantities, by the way. So it's not like she's shifting hundreds of garments or whatever.
Yes, yeah. She doesn't move major units. You know what? I'm not even gonna say anything about Phoebe. Let's wait. I can't wait to the next drop, anyways. I'm like heavily focused on Phoebe Phalo's career currently, or
Yeah,
her.
same.
Um,
I think what she does is interesting. Like I'm interested in everything that Phoebe Phalo does. But if we're talking pragmatically, we're just having a
yes,
pragmatic conversation. She doesn't have the audience. Like she just doesn't.
she does. Yeah, and she built an audience for the style that she has, and then it just segmented. It's not her own fault either. But yeah, back to the Kim Jones thing. What's to say someone needs to start generally with a cultish audience? Like how
Oh no, I'm
start?
I'm not saying that. I was just highlighting that I don't think he has one. So, and I feel
Um,
like LVMH don't like risk taking these days.
I don't know about all of that. I don't
I
know.
don't. I don't think they like risk taking these days compared to how they used to.
They're literally in the business of risk. Wait, oh man,
In what
it's
way?
Phoebe Phalo. Phoebe Phalo's a risk.
Oh, but that's a tiny risk in the grand scheme of
Yeah,
things.
because it's a
That's
minority
bro,
stake,
that's a
isn't it?
tiny
So yeah,
risk.
it's not much
Yeah,
risk.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Okay, I
they would
mean,
have a minority stake in an eponymous label, but at the same time, who did they just buy or acquire? Was it
They acquire a lot of people to be
no? But they
fair.
Capital.
recently,
What capital?
yeah, no, but that was
Via El Catas, but
yeah,
yeah, still.
yeah. But I guess what the point that I'm kind of trying to get to is in Kim Jones starting his own thing, there's different things that like whirl around it. So he's looking for value within himself and then value within his audience and then his pull within culture. So his pull within culture is a lot bigger than
It's
people
people.
are generally want to give it
True.
credit for.
It's big.
True.
Like, and I think you guys were talking about Pop Smoke. I was just doing my morning routine, so I couldn't really get it airing. But you were talking about just the generational run that he's had at Dior.
Hmm.
But this generational run even started prior to Dior. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that when he joined Dior, he was literally coming off the Supreme LV collab.
Exactly.
And he made those boots that let me pull this up because I actually need to show people on the
But
screen.
yeah, I agree. His name isn't as massive, but like in the way that someone could story tell for what Kim Jones has done over the past 10 years, because literally he's run menswear for the past 10 years to me. And I think like he has a strong case for that.
Mm,
So the way that someone can story tell to start his own eponymous label, that's if he wants it, right? Is majorly valuable because he is massively valuable to the menswear community. Some people just don't know it yet. And I think that's the same thing there and abouts with Phoebe Philo.
right.
Because the only difference is that Phoebe Philo is like majorly valuable to a segment of women's wear. I genuinely believe Kim Jones changed menswear.
I don't think
You know what the difference is? You
single-handedly.
know what the difference is though?
I wouldn't give it to him
If
single-handedly. I
even
wouldn't
if
say
no, even if it were him single-handedly, audiences need to identify that.
Of
Oh,
course,
we feel like this person
of
single-handedly,
course.
and I think that's what's missing from Kim Jones. That like, I
Oh, sorry.
don't think men walk around feeling like that. Whereas there's a bunch of women who walk around feeling like, yo, Phoebe Philo really changed my thing. Like,
No, for sure. But yeah, like mainstream menswear,
you know what? I can agree to an extent.
Kim Jones. Yeah, no, it's to an extent.
I
I'm
think
not
he
saying
played a
single.
very strong part because
Yeah.
I think Virgil Abloh always has to be there if we're talking about how men's were
Mm.
changed. So that's why
But
like you can't really give
they're
it to
kind of
him.
at the same time. That's why it's
Yeah.
like hand in
Yeah,
hand.
that off white, that early off white with
No, but I'm
his
thinking like
LV.
the Dior, that like the way them first few Kim Jones
That
actions look,
that
where a lot of men were like, because I feel like that kind of stuff is why we have like Mono Devoir brands like that. That's why brands like that can even exist in the form that they're in now, because of Kim Jones is a Dior.
yeah, fam. I
Like
don't
I
think
think
we get
even
Amélie D'Or without Kim Jones literally
I think he
bursting
made
through,
that style so aspirational to men who previously weren't interested in dressing like that.
bro. There's a whole generation of men that think they can create luxury out of thin air right now. I don't know where everyone has come from. Like, but yeah,
Oh my gosh, you actually killed me. I just wanted to show quickly. This is from
This is
his
spring
last
24.
collection. No, yeah, on the screen. But this is from his last collection at LV. And these boots that you can see like
bro.
them wearing sold like
What are these called?
crazy.
What are these called?
I've forgotten, but they had like the gold tips and the eyelets, and these went insane. So even when
This is before.
He left LV. He said this before his time. He left LV with a banger that commercially at least. Like he left LV with a collection that I saw a lot of people buying, even when he wasn't there. So that's what I mean. When he went to Dior, he went to Dior with a bang. Like he came off a really big moment.
Yeah, I remember. I really remember this vividly. It's actually crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, like I think there's the shape of menswear evolved with Kim Jong. Obviously, with like that core unit, we all know
That's
the
what I was gonna
name.
say. Because if you just say Kim Jones, I'm like, bro, let's not
No,
rewrite
bro, I'm not.
history.
No, I'd never do that. You know, I'd never do that. But yeah, like the problem is that Kim Jones also is like the designer's designer of the group. As
Okay, I can agree with you there.
Yeah,
he started
100.
as
I'm
the
on board with that.
designer.
100%.
He taught them how to design, like, that type of stuff. And then, like, their ideas obviously proliferated. But my thing is that I think there's a major value there. And to go off the eponymous label point, it's like there's a story to be told. If he wanted that, there could be an option, who knows? But I think that, yeah, he can take a break and know that his legacy is cemented for sure.
Yeah, for
Do you
sure.
wait?
His run was actually scary when I think about how like many products hit, especially in the first like few years.
Bro, my
Mm.
guy had men wearing those. Do you remember that choker he did as well? The like,
Yeah,
yeah,
Bro, this is what I'm
yeah.
saying,
Shout
I
out
actually
Yunnan,
forgot
bro,
to
Yunnan.
bro.
shout out to Yoon On for real. He did have men wearing chokers.
I can't lie, though. That first couple of years of him at the, because remember he was doing a pre-fall for
Yeah, right from the
resort.
off the bat.
He was doing 8 collections a year
The
off
cheeky
the
8
runway,
collections.
Hmm.
and I think like what's it, 6 or 7 out of 8, well actually 6 out of 8. Let me be nice. Six out of 8 of those collections for 2 years hit straight. So like 12 collections were just bangers to me, and that
Yeah.
was wild. Like obviously he was never going to be able to keep up that like insane clip of just like
Yeah.
firing off ideas and everything like that. It was gonna end up feeling stale at a point, but like when he was doing it, it was looking mad. I can't lie.
No, culturally, it was extremely significant. Like, I always say that I didn't really like the first collections too much, personally, because I wouldn't wear it. Like, all the
That's so
prints.
interesting to me because those are like some of the two that are most etched in my brain.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
because culturally, they're very significant because everyone wore the pieces from those collections. With,
bro,
like,
that,
bro, I'm not going to wear a translucent top with it all over dior. It's just not going to
no,
happen,
you
bro.
know what as well? For in terms of London, if my memory serves well, that collection, his debut or like the era of his debut was kind of around when End Clothing opened for the first time in London.
In
So you
London,
could
yeah, I
you could
remember.
literally go to End Clothing and cop your Dior obliques. So all of
Yeah.
a sudden in Soho, I'm seeing people with these £1,000 sneakers on, like on a casual thing. They went triple platinum on Instagram. Like there was a lot of media kind of like content around the work he was putting out, which I guess helped amplify how big and larger than life a lot of it felt. And in a space where Virgil Abloh's LV is sucking up all the vacuum, it's nuts that he could even have been so loud in that kind of space. Because think about how huge, just because of how controversial it was, Virgil's LV was huge at the time, as in
Yeah.
taking up all the airwaves where people were like, why the hell is this guy LV, that, it should be Kim Jones, this, that.
Bro, it was nuts. Like, and not knowing that Kim Jones literally handed the keys to Virgil. It's so like the storylines are so wild, and yeah, mad respect. There's so much to be said on just that little portion that you just said there, like the way that it just hit the streets, and it was, yeah, there was a landslide them times. And the Dior trainers, even now, I'm seeing people wearing fakes. People wearing
Oh, no,
fakes.
but
Wait, when
you
did
see,
B22
everything that
stop?
he made in those first like few years, everything was copied. Everything had fakes.
Bro,
Everything.
I went out last weekend to a bar. I saw people wearing Dior runners, like them Dior runners, fam.
Wait, I have to Google these. What are Dior runners, right? Am I
Oh, you
bugging?
don't know
What,
Dior?
you mean B22s?
Yeah, those are the
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
bro,
B22s.
those
No,
were
no,
them in
no,
the
those are
no,
the
they
in
were
the
called runners.
those are the
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
B22, bro, right, bro. Who was I listening to the other
with
day? I think it was
yo the
Sench.
man
Man was
them
rapping about B22s. I said, bro,
yo the man them that wear the Celine logo tee with the Balenciaga.
Yeah. Oh my god. So true. The Celine logo tee with the Dior runners. That is
Bro,
the fit.
bro. And if they want to get freaky with it, they'll get the Converse Dior ones, the ones that are like low key see through. Oh, what a time to be alive, bro!
Oh my gosh.
What a time to be alive, yo. Mandem United, no, RIP.
No, and you know
Yeah,
why? No, I just remembered as well why like it was like a who has the most money ladder. Because if you remember, the off-white cons were literally see-through as well. So it's like, oh yeah, you could have the off-white ones, or I could, pay extra £800 and I have the Dior oblique, like the.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It was, yo, there was pandemonium when the B-22s dropped, fam. Pandemonium. Yo, people were going in depth.
What I don't understand is like,
It's not even that nice to see.
I always think to myself, how do people actually afford it? Like the amount of people that buy these shoes, I'm like, surely people aren't just this rich. Because I remember looking at the prices of these shoes, just thinking, what? That is not affordable at all.
Bro,
And then it sells out. Like you walk into your local Harvey Nichols and they're like, oh, sorry, we sold out of the Dior's. And it's
That's
like,
wild.
how?
no, because you gotta think it's like, and it's because obviously it was Mandem United and Mandem FC, but then there was also because Dior's actual customers are rich people in it. It's like the clothes do sell, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so they're wearing it as well. So now everybody's looking at FC, and then there's a homogenization of menswear. But then because like Kim Jones's Dior is so like widespread throughout different tiers and different classes, it's like you can look different but all be wearing Dior. It was crazy, man. What a crazy time. But 100%, I don't care if you're living with your mum and you're making 2 to 3K per month. If you buy them Dior runners, you felt that. Like, you
Wait,
felt
nah,
it.
bro. Wait, is this BB no money person joking? Are you
What?
looking at the comments? Is this a joke?
No, if you don't read the comments, then they technically don't exist on the stream, to be fair. So I don't know. What do you mean?
Wait.
Okay, I don't know about all of that.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's a bit crazy.
but yeah, like just to, because I was low-key the one that evoked Pharrell's name, and we kind of, but it was more so because Pharrell's low-key the beginning of the end. Like we passed the end game of LVMH, and things might go a little stale from here because this is the old guard moving out, and then there's a new guard moving in, and I don't believe whoever, like, if it's not like Galliano coming to Dior,
Which is
and
probably not going to happen.
yeah, I don't believe that like they're going in a direction of, let's say, people with like this poignant, pure, unadulterated voice coming into Dior. Like you'd have to be so focused on and single-minded in your goal of taking over Dior. But like I feel like there's gonna be a little bit of a hesitation here, and it's gonna be a little bit more subdued, just like the direction they're going in with Loewe and the direction they went with LV, the possible direction they go with Celine, and then the direction they're going in Dior is a little bit more like stealth wealth or incognito, whatever it is,
Would
right?
that work though? I just
I don't think it will work,
that's
but
gonna
I think
work.
that's the direction that they're going in.
But why? If I was consulting for the brand, I'll tell them hard no. You won't win. If you're trying to do stealth wealth at your brand, there are people that do it better and in a way that you probably won't be able to do.
With high
As of selling.
materials too.
Yeah, like that's not the way to go. What you guys need to do is take advantage of your atelier and do techniques that other people struggle to do, maybe because they don't have the development, and that's how you win.
Bro, that's the other thing about Kim Jones. He took couture techniques
To
for
ready to wear. That's
women's
facts.
wear, and oh my,
That's
bro, if I had the time, I would like I would want us to go through every single collection from this moment that we're watching here up until like I don't even know whether we
It's Kim Jones Day.
Kim. Oh man, but yeah, this was the impetus of, yeah, like he made guys think they could put a bomber jacket on their collection and call it luxury. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
then these times Kim Jones was tailoring in menswear, and the tailoring was so like, it was such a niche part of the project, that such a niche part of his thing. People don't even talk about it like that. People don't even talk about the Kim Jones tailoring like that. They talk about the embroidery more than they do the tailoring, which is wild because the cut of his garments,
He had a signature cut. He definitely did.
they were just phenomenal. And I don't well, I understand why people didn't talk about it because Kim Jones didn't talk about it, but and the couture
I
techniques,
think he did a
especially,
few times. He did a few
yeah,
times.
it was a few. It wasn't enough for my liking. I'll be real, because when he's doing these overcoats, when he's and then let's not even go to the overcoats actually. When he's doing like bomber jackets, when he's doing just old puffer jackets, just regular stuff, those things are tailored too. And I don't think people know that they can be tailored. Like one thing that I've gotten used to now is tailoring my regular clothes. But that's from knowing that you can do that from watching what Kim Johnson's done. Because you can alter the sleeves on your jacket.
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
but the thing is, people don't know that.
Also the
But
shoulders, everything.
exactly. And you can cut the shoulders to make it like if you've got slight shoulders, you can cut them. If you've got broader shoulders, you can, you know what I'm saying? But away from that, I'm back onto Kim Jones. What he done was great tailoring. Like obviously these guys are like bog standard model sizes. But then yeah, when you go to let's say the Skepta look and like the way that Skepta wore Dior, you
Damn, Kim
see
Jones is
someone wearing
sprinting.
tailored clothes. I'm ranting now, but I feel like I'm ranting. But what he's
I'm
done,
just listening. I'm just listening.
what he done for tailoring is wild. And like this is why I think, brands like Amelie and Dor is in, or even like Cole Buxton. Is it Cole Buxton? Yeah.
Yeah, Karl
Cole
Buxton.
Buxton is interested because Kim Jones, like those ideas flourish because of what Kim Jones has done for certain things. Like when people can actually see the way your atelier or see you actually cutting and sewing, people care about that stuff partially because Kim Jones put that in the forefront. I remember, wait, can you go to, I think it was a mainline, it was a main collection,
Which
and I
one?
think it was either autumn winter 20 or spring summer 20 where he was doing the embroidered raindrops. Do you remember that one?
Oh,
Let me see if I can find it. I
let me see if
forgot
I can
what
find it.
number collection that was.
I don't know
But that,
exactly which collection it was, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, so that one, bro, like just watching the BTS for that was crack to me. I'll be real. Like,
I will say, during Kim Jones's time, someone who documented his time perfectly was,
Louis.
oh my, the Kim Jones, especially videos that Loic Pigeon was making
oh yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
impeccable. They were so impeccable and so detailed.
Let me
Like
tell you.
literally look to look, every single look, inspiration explained. That's probably why, like till today, all these collections, I still remember exactly what the ideas were for behind most of them.
Give me a sec. Let me just find the name of the collection.
Sure one. So yeah, Granny can be fun, interesting. I think in general across all shows there's a total lack of detail. The amount of details in shows from decades ago is astounding in comparison. So many less seams. Yeah, but that's to do with
Okay,
price.
so it was autumn winter. Give me a sec. I don't know whether it's autumn winter 21 or 22. Give me a sec. I
Where
think
can you
it's.
find it? Just type Loic Pigeon Dior
I don't
in
think they're not
YouTube.
spelled Loic Prison. Let me just put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah, I put it in the chat.
All right.
Bro, bugging.
No, but Luke, that's Luke's signature.
Yeah, Luke is prone to bug. I'll be real. Like he'll be on your side one day.
We need positive and negative opinions in the chat to balance it
sure.
out.
For sure.
Life is about balance.
Jennifer Anderson will prove to be one of the. Oh my word, I don't even want to say that out loud because that's just. Anyway, British designers are rampage at these houses, and I think it needs to be studied how the UK effed up and the BFC effed up with
Yeah.
not keeping a lot of people here. Because I can tell you right now, Daniel Lee's about to flourish other places. Oh my days, what a time to be.
Yeah, but this
alive.
was a collection. I said that this was a collection where, for me, when it came to Kim Jones, I was like, okay, like this
No,
is
like
my.
I remember that because I was gassing Kim Jones from Wade, and then you were just kind of like, yeah, it's cool, but then
Because
this
the early collections weren't for me, but I could
yeah,
see how important it was culturally. Like it was selling, people were wearing it. It was it was changing the face of menswear. But this collection was what I
yeah.
actually liked. I'd at least make me work for it.
Wait, there's rumors that who might go to Burberry? No way, Kim Jones. I
Wait,
don't want
give
Kim
Dior
Jones.
to Charles Jeffrey. Okay,
Yeah, no,
let's.
chill. And I actually like Charles Jeffries. He's a British designer. That's what.
So
Like,
do I. Shout out to
so,
the Brits.
but don't. Let's just, you know what I'm saying.
Um,
This what
the
we'll talk about.